I don't know about you, but I could go for a nap pretty much all the time. So I am super excited today to talk to Elizabeth Minton because she helps transform overwhelm, depletion, and fatigue into confidence, energy, and inspiration. I know I could use a little bit more of that. So let's see what she has to say. Did you know that you can be a respected professional and also have life balance? That voice that says you're just going to disappoint everybody, that's total mind BS.
Here. So I am a psychotherapist in private practice, which I have done for well over a decade, and I love that work. What I was finding, both in my own life and then also as I was working with my clients, is that that's great. Like there's a lot of transformation that can happen through therapy. So not dog and therapy in any way. And that what I was finding is that there was this missing piece of how do we like invite more ease and attending to and calm into our lives in the interim. How do we offer that to ourselves? And these practices began as my own avenue towards that, my own journey of how do I invite more calm in my life? How do I find that oasis anytime, anywhere? Because I was busy. I'm a mother. I have run a private practice. I was not finding that calm in my own world. And I'm like, whoa, I need to slow down and find this. And that's what started my journey into things like becoming a forest bathing guide or becoming a qigong teacher, and which is a form of moving meditation, or different kinds of meditation and mindfulness practices that then as I integrated those into my daily life, I recognized like, oh, wow, that piece is here. I can have it anytime I need it. And I think it's hard to know that until you really know it, like until then it's like a dream, like wait, that's not real. But once these practices little by little become part of our lives, it does become much more of a reality.
Yeah, I've worked with people who don't even believe that the piece is possible. They don't
Yeah.
even remember what that feels like in their body. And so they search for it. And I did the same thing in ways that are fun. And so like I just signed up for like an art class, or I'd signed up for a dance class, or I'd signed up for things that used to bring me body satisfaction, like joy in my body. But all it did in that period of my life was add something else to do. It was
Yes.
just another thing in my schedule that I had to spend energy on.
Yeah.
So tell me more about how we can find this peace, especially for the people who like can't even take a second to breathe because it feels overwhelming to them.
Yeah. So I think that the tricky and beautiful at the same time part of this is is finding out like bite-sized ways to integrate this into our everyday life. And that's very subjective for everybody. That's going to be different because what your life it looks like and feels like and what it's like to be in your body is different, right? And I think that first of all, just growing the awareness of, for example, if it feels like I can't even pause to take a breath, then it might just be growing the awareness of noticing, like, what is it like to be holding my breath or breathing so shallow? And I have to tell you, years ago, I was in a training where this incredible faculty told me, she said, Elizabeth, you're panting. Are you always panting? It seems like every time I see you, you're panting. And I was like, like, what do you mean I'm panting? What does that even mean? I had no awareness, right? And it was just short breathing, shallow breathing is what he was describing, right? Not like dog panting, but I think just recognizing and ideally without judgment, oh, this is how I'm moving through my life. And then the next part of that would be to add the layer of can I make a micro shift? So if it's can I recognize that I'm shallow breathing and then just notice what happens next? Oftentimes, if we bring our awareness to it, even if it's for like a half second, there's a little tiny shift and we might sigh, you know, sighing's awesome. Like, just to allow that deep breath. So those are the little things, but you also might like, for example, just we tend to tunnel our vision when we're just trying to get to the next thing. It's effective. It's a great adaptation that we have as humans to tunnel. But then it might just be to consciously like open up the field of vision and notice like what can I see in my whole periphery? And that actually sends a signal to the nervous system the coast is clear and we can calm down, and it takes seconds, you know? So there's all kinds of very little ways that if you're really busy and it feels like I can't do a whole practice, you can already cue your nervous system to make a micro shift that over time leads to enormous shifts. So,
I love that. And I can imagine doing that sort of practice throughout my day, as I'm in meetings, as I'm at work doing work, as I'm cooking dinner, I can just take that moment to open my gaze and, look around. And that can be absolutely transformational. So
mhm.
one thing I noticed in what you were talking about is you have a lot of movement practices, the move like into the forest,
Mhm.
the Qigong, I can't say it right. Qigong.
Qigong. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that. Um, that feels safer to me because it feels like I'm not just sitting still, I'm doing something as I'm working on other things.
Yes.
How did you come to do that? And just tell me about the experience of that because that sounds cool.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think I do sitting meditation. I enjoy sitting meditation, and it's hard. It is hard. It's hard to like stay present. And so for me, the movement piece has been key in helping me build my presence and also my present awareness, and then also helping me want to do the practice because it's nice to do. So the forest bathing, I've always loved the outdoors. I've been a hiker, backpack. I just love the outdoors. And so it was a natural fit for me. And so I actually got trained in Costa Rica. I went to Costa Rica and I did an immersion training, and it was amazing. It was like, just slowing down, which is hard at first, to walk slow, to pause, sometimes like touch a tree and don't just, necessarily walk by. You can walk by, but like kind of having more of an engagement with the land. But that was transformational for me because it allowed me to not just take a walk. Taking a walk is great. There's nothing wrong with it. And this deepened my sense of like, oh, I'm going to take a walk and see in forest bathing, everything's our friend. See my friend, the sky, see my friend, the grass, like engage in a different way and feel connection and belonging versus I'm alone in my thoughts. I'm super stressed and I'm just taking a walk and then I got to go back and do the thing. So it allows there to be an opening for support. And also that movement of walking can help just offer I think more of an opportunity to not feel stuck, trapped. Okay, I have to do this thing until this time, and then I can get up and go do the tasks that I'm already thinking about while I'm sitting here. So if we're moving, I think sometimes we can allow ourselves more, at least for me, more of permission to just kind of like be in the moment, because I'm looking around and I'm taking things in and I'm moving my body. And so it doesn't feel like I'm just staying stuck. Um, so there's a lot more I could say about forest bathing, but I'll just shift over to Qigong. For me, one of the things I love about Qigong is that it takes breathing. Like for me, if you say take a deep breath, I might take a deep breath and then I forget and then I'm not focusing at all and I'm breathing the way I normally breathe again. But with Qigong, it's just really gentle movements. Like if I breathe, can I take a deep breath and raise my hands up and then on my inhale and then just turn my hands back down and then put them down on my exhale. And then I'm focusing on my hands, like, okay, inhale. Okay, I'm ready for my exhale. And sometimes even just that movement is enough for me to put my focus somewhere. And I really study my breathing in a different way. So those are the ways that for me, movement is so helpful for slowing down in a way that doesn't feel stuck or hard to focus, hard to stay with it. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I think it's important to bring this up because it's not just one way. Right?
Yes.
We don't all
Okay.
slow down one way. We don't
Yep.
all work one way. And
Mhm.
so I work with a lot of people who say, I can't meditate. I don't meditate. And you could see my body like shifting into that I can't meditate. I don't meditate. I don't want to deal with it. And something that incorporates movement for that type of person might be exactly the meditation that they need in order to be
For
able
sure.
to integrate all of these practices. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting for me what you're talking about because you're bringing in, and so forest bathing, I mean, I was going to ask you to tell me the difference between forest bathing and just walking in the forest, but I think you hit that. But what I love is that you're talking about integrating different things. So you've got the nature, you're connecting with nature. You've got the touch, you're touching the trees or doing that. But then you also talked about everything is your friend, which is
Mhm.
rewiring that positivity pathway in your brain. So I would love to
Mhm.
tell for you to tell us a little bit more about that because that is not something that we do regularly when we walk.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the biggest gifts to me with forest bathing was this sense of um, not feeling alone. Because I think that a lot of times when we're in a stressful life, and a lot of times also, I mean, it's beautiful that we can connect in these ways, like right now, over Zoom. And there can be a sense of isolation, like I'm alone in the room, even though there's that presence. And so I think that um, finding these different creative ways to experience connection and belonging is so incredible. So with forest bathing, what I also love is that it's not just what we think of as live beings as having the possibility of being friends. So for example, a rock in forest bathing is considered to have the possibility for connection. And just like the soil is, just like the sky is. And so by walking and noticing I'm in connection with the tree, even just with my inhale, that's the tree's exhale. My exhale is the tree's inhale. We're already in connection, whether I'm recognizing it or not. And so this is just about bringing that awareness back to that. And another example I can give, so I have a membership for women where we focus on really moving stress and depletion into vitality and inspiration. And one of them was talking about, she was going to go into a tricky situation that was really stressful. And she was saying, I just keep imagining I'm going to hand anything that comes at me that it's not mine, I don't want to take on. I'm just going to imagine sending it out to the sun and the sun can burn it up for me. I don't have to carry that. That is an example of the way that these beings that are around anywhere, anytime. I mean, might not always be able to see the sun if it's cloudy, but it's there, can serve as support and resource to us in helping us come back into ease, balance, and calm. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
amazing. I love that story. And I love the idea of turning stress into vitality.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
tell me what that looks like. Tell me a story of transformation where somebody's come to you and they've, felt like everything is impossible into this place of tapping into their own vitality.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can think of an example recently. This one is actually, I have several. Let's see. I'll think just two very short stories. One is just has to do with forest bathing. So I took a group out. And there was this woman, I actually didn't know a lot of these people. I didn't know until afterwards. She talked to me about how she's had chronic pain. This was after we were finished, and she just came up to me and she's like, I want you to know, she's like, I have chronic pain and it is so stressful. I feel like I'm constantly carrying around, the weight of this pain. She's like, while I was connecting and slowing down here in the forest, for the first time, she's like, I've taken medicine, I've tried all kinds of things and feel the pain. And I think that it has to do with that focus on the belonging and the allowing to have ease, right? That then shifts that stress associated with the pain into just witnessing beauty, right? Connecting with the beauty. So that's one example. Qigong, I have another one where one of the things we do is shaking. So Qigong shaking doesn't look like meditation, but it is very meditative. It is like essentially I'm just going to show you real quick. Is that okay?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. It's just shaking. Like your arms are like spaghetti noodles. You're just kind of moving your body. You might shake a little to the left and shake a little to the right and just shake. Okay. For like a minute, 2 minutes. When I was working with, again, this is back to my membership, I was working with a group of women and we were doing a different sequence of Qigong, but there was the shaking component. And they talked about how you can just feel the energy, the stress, that just stuck like, like, heaviness, fatigue, all of that constriction, just shake away. And in Qigong, there's this imagery of we shake things down to the earth because the earth turns that yucky, the hard stuff into compost, which then can create new life. And so when we're shaking it off, it's not that we're shaking it off and letting it go completely. we're shaking it off, and so it can grow into something more newer, more full of energy, right? And so that is, and so she was talking about how she came in, she had been so stressed, she'd had a really tough, this is on a Sunday, she'd had a really tough weekend, and was like Monday's coming around the corner, and how with this practice, she could just let that go, feel grounded, and then just feel calm, like, okay, I can do my day. And I had other people in that same group reach out to me and say, oh my gosh, the rest of the day into the next day, I felt so much better. So there's all different kinds of, really the turning stress and vitality. When I think of stress, I think of constriction, and because that's just what our bodies and our minds do when we're stressed. We tunnel vision, we constrict. And so it's really just allowing a little bit of movement in whatever way, right? Through noticing connection, through shaking, through whatever makes sense for you, right? And allowing there to be some flow. And as that flow happens, we tend to experience more energy and calm. Life tends to be easier.
Wow. I love that you're coming up with all of these different easy ways to make life easier. Like,
Yeah.
this sounds totally doable. So if people are like ready to dig in, they want to get started, you mentioned you have a membership. How can people access that and then get started working on this in their life?
Yeah. So the calmingground.com is my website for, and that's not therapy. I have a therapy practice that is, with therapy, we're licensed in certain states and we can't practice outside of the states. But this is not that. This is not therapy. This is really a mindful self-care membership. And I also offer coaching through this as an aside or an addendum to the membership. And the membership is specifically for women. So that is a kind of safe space for women to come together and really nurture and prioritize our care so that we can really feel into that inspiration and vitality in ourselves, and energy. The one-on-one coaching is open to absolutely anybody who would like to recognize the same thing and engage in similar practices as well. And then I have a podcast, the Calming Ground podcast, about a lot of these different ways of finding our ease and finding our light, really getting in touch and aligned with that light inside that has our energy and our joy and our ease. And then also you're welcome to email me, Elizabeth Minton at the Calming Ground podcast. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm also on social, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook and LinkedIn. So under the Calming Ground. So you're welcome to find me there.
That sounds amazing. I am going to subscribe to your Calming Ground podcast right after this because I need more of you in my life. Absolutely. So I am going to drop all of Elizabeth's links in the description below so that you too can sign up for her podcast, check out her website and her membership, and get started integrating these amazing, soothing, but very easy practices into your daily life. And so, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. Before we sign off today, do you have any last words you want to leave our audience with?
So I do have a challenge coming up. It's the Mindful Living Challenge. It's an introduction to very bite-sized ways to find that peace and that energy, and do it in a way that fits into a busy, hectic, like your regular lifestyle, And so you'll get a lot of nuggets there, and you'll have that sense of like, I'm not doing it alone. There's a plan. I don't have to think about the plan because it'll be set for me, and it's bite size. So
Fantastic. So if your New Year's resolution is to try something new and you can only commit to 5 days, you have accomplished your goal. No resolution fails. Sign up for Elizabeth's challenge and see if you can incorporate these mindfulness practices throughout the year.
we focus a lot on how we're going to change or how we'd like to be different than we are. And I think the key is actually in really leaning into just how we are is good enough. And it's just leaning into that I think offers us ease. And I think when we really focus on change, I got to be different, it can create it can add to that constriction versus this can be easier said than done, but coming back to what if I just get really interested and curious and just attuning to how and who I am right now and put my energy there? That also offers ease. I get to be how I am and meet me here in the ways that make sense for me and my lifestyle. And then from there, all kinds of transformation can happen. But it comes from first just being where we are. That's
Yeah.
what I would offer.
Well, it's amazing how difficult it is to just be who we are and be comfortable doing that with all
Oh
of
my
the
gosh,
programming that we've received as we grew up about
for sure.
how we need to be in order to be loved and lovable.
Yeah.
So, yes, I love that. That is truly transformational coming home to ourselves. So, thank you
Mhm.
so much for sharing all of this today. And we'll
Oh, my pleasure.
bye.
Bye.
Hit subscribe and let's see if we can make life balance the norm.